Okay, we can go ahead, Miriam.
Okay. So as I was saying, we need to be intentional as parents because when we put our families first, even the parenting becomes phenomenal because like Monica was saying, it becomes teamwork, it becomes a joint effort, it becomes something that's enjoyable because I cannot continuously say, be bullying my child because, like some of the voices that we use as parents, we need to start thinking about how we communicate with our children because that is the same voice he or she will be using in school. So let me hold it there. One of the things that we need to do, especially when we are relating with the school now, schools will be calling you and asking you, how is your child doing? Or how are you doing? Be honest and be candid about it. If you are struggling, tell them you are struggling so that they'll be able to offer you the support that you need because it's important that you get the support for your children's education. Some of the subjects, I know parents, we are not faced with them, or the methods that we use, especially when it comes to maths, they are different. So we may need to ask for help from the schools. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Monica. That's Miriam, that's absolutely amazing. Earlier on, Monica, you had got a question. If I come back to you now, then I'll be coming back to go around. Over to you. Monica, you wanted to contribute?
Okay, I think what I was just going to come back to is the issue of priorities, because I just want to go back. I think it was when you mentioned about how society influences us.
Yeah.
You see, if we are still living in the age of being influenced by society, that means we are not living our lives. We are living a mirage. And that's where the problem is, because children pick on those things easily. Children can identify when things are not being, demonstrated accurately because they know where they're coming from. And they also know what's happening truly at home. So if we start to demonstrate and make up things when we go out, we produce those kinds of children ourselves. The Bible says they shall produce after their own kind. So whatever we are, we will produce our children that same way. So if we take a look at ourselves first, which is what Joe was saying earlier on about, upskilling yourself, go back and look at your skills and see where you're not, blending with the child. It helps in the sense that it will bring that communication where, as a father, you don't walk into the house and say, I'm the father of this house. And as the mother, you keep reminding your child, I'm the mother. The moment you have those relationships, it means there is a respect issue that has gone wrong somewhere. So we want to come back to the truth of the matter that we need to prioritize accurately. If I am still living on the value pack in ASDA, let me do the value pack and provide for my child. Yeah. If I've gone up a standard, let me move, because if I live truthfully by my means, I will then encourage myself to go the next level up, and I'll go that level up in honesty so that I'm teaching these things. Everything that we do, our children pick up on those things. Mm-hmm. Everything that we demonstrate, they also demonstrate the same things. In schools, you find the children who are bullies, something is coming from home. Yeah. In children, you find children who speak, in schools, children who speak badly, it's coming from home. It's not something that has been, initiated by society. It starts from home, because charity begins at home. So if we don't create that environment where we are constantly upgrading, because my child will feel they need to upgrade when I upgrade. And if I don't upgrade, they don't see it. I haven't given them that, that teaching. I haven't given them that option that you can still be better than this. You can still be better than this. So my values should be defined by me in my house. My structure should be, it should be organized by me. And that is what I plant in my child. The moment I let somebody else next door plant something in my child, then I'm losing the hold, because we shouldn't look at it as control, but we should look at it as management. How are we managing situations? Because the moment we go into the control spaces, that means we are taking away liberty. from the other person. So our children need to have that liberty as well, to know that they can speak, to know that they can express themselves. That will enable us then to have I go back to communication. I'm a strong believer of communication, because if I don't say something, you make assumptions of what I'm thinking. But if I tell you something, you will know where I am, and you will start working with me from where I am. And that will help you create the correct perceptions of me, and also build a right image of who I am. So that will then go back to our children. So I come back again to, if a parent cannot prioritize their child, that means money is the source of what? That's the driving force. And if we are driven by money, that means the core values in our children are going to be missed out. And therefore, we will lose that connection as well. That way, we don't relate well with our children. And you find that, it's embarrassing when you see women that are trying to address their children and their children embarrass them. They don't respond as the mother was expecting. And I ask, is this what they do at home? That's the first question I always ask. Is this what they do at home? Because home is their environment of liberty. So I got, yeah.
So thank you for that.
I'll stop there, because I think you're worried about time as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that these are amazing conversations, and I think we could do it a whole week of going into them. Absolutely. Topic by topic. But what I wanted to pick was a few points that I picked up from what the previous speakers have said. So structure remains a fundamental piece in terms of how we can support our children during this digital age conversation. That the structure that we have in the home must represent the structure that they probably would have experienced at school. And this is what the schools always expect from the parents. And I've learned today that actually the education system expects the parents to play a huge role. Because the parents today thought that they don't have a responsibility in educating the schools. It must be the teachers doing it. But we have heard from Miriam that actually the parent has got an active role in shaping up their children. So the only thing that's changed now is that all these things happen in their home. So they have to reinforce that structure, and they have to create the spaces. Now, we do acknowledge that some parents might, or some families might have challenges in terms of how do they create the spaces, how do they avail the gadgets. And I suppose that will remain a challenge, which we will have input from Mr. Mwati as we wrap up and draw on how they can be supported. And then number 3, from what we are learning, is that communication is going to remain a key part. Now, we do acknowledge that some parents may have difficulties in communicating with their children for one reason or the other. And some parents could it be that they are damaged themselves, that they would need to be supported to get started on the communication journey, because they've never had to have the need, because there was a good support system around them. Now that is taken away, they are expected to make this work. And we can acknowledge that we've been advised that there is support available. So parents will need to very well connect with the schools very closely in terms of giving true feedback, so that they also can be supported if they are struggling in terms of how to help and support the kids in the home environment. There are a lot of challenges that technology brings, guys, into this whole space. And I think that is the piece which I'll probably give another minute to Edith, because from my space where I sit, from the business space, we have had to do a lot of work in terms of adjusting our systems and our solutions to enable our workers to work from home. And I'm imagining that the parents, if they do not equip themselves for this, they are going to end up in a big problem where they are going to have problems coming in the digital space. Why am I saying that? It's because the digital space is our new address. And I remember myself talking about this when I did a workshop years ago, and I was addressing women. And I did say the power of the digital footprint. Now, we do have parents, and some of you guys on the panel, you know them, who are online. They themselves are even using fake names to be online. And how is this parent going to teach their child to be real online when themselves are fake? And I think our conversations need to start there. that brings me to the point that Monica mentioned, that we would need to be truly authentic and be ourselves. We don't have to try too hard to be what we are not. We will have to have conversations with our kids that we should be ourselves. It doesn't matter online, offline, it doesn't matter where. We just have to be ourselves. We don't have to try too hard, because I think until we address that, the struggle will continue for the parent to reinforce their foundation, because the parent themselves, they are living in a fake space. So for me, those are some of the points I wanted to wrap up and bring in. And then we have also been advised that while technology and digital space is coming ahead, and it's already been there, the parents will have to engage more in the learning and understanding of what these tools can do, what they can do, and how they can be supported. Maybe parents will have to enroll themselves into courses and learning where they can, into resources where they can get understanding of how they can support their kids at home. Because I don't think any of this is going to change, like we've said. So Edith, I wanted you to wrap up on some of the programs that are available to the parents in terms of navigating this issue.
Yes, like I was going to say earlier, one of the first things, charity does begin at home. So when you're trying to learn how to navigate the digital space, start with your children. Start with getting them to help you. There is no shame at all in that, from learning from those children. Yeah. And then a step further would be to invest, like you were saying, Fungai, in strategies where you can get more knowledge. There are a lot of support groups. There are also a lot of resources for parents in the digital space where we find them being supported, being shown those ropes, what we need
to... But Edith, let me bring you down. The word invest is a huge word. When we hear invest, we are thinking money. Where am I going to get money to do this training? So what are the free resources or free spaces that people can use to straight away they can be part of those conversations?
Without marketing myself, I am one of those resources. Yeah. I know a lot of us parents, we spend our time on platforms like Facebook and WhatsApp and LinkedIn. If you just search for parenting in the digital age, for example, or digital parenting, you will find a lot of support groups just from there. And being part of those groups, you'll find a lot of resources. You also find that if you go to search engines like Google, you'll get a lot of free resources as well. Some of them come in the form of ebooks, some come in the form of podcasts, others come in the form of audiobooks, some come in the form of community groupings where you can get one-on-one or group support. So there's a lot of resources online for us to get support. I myself have started the Violet Room, which supports moms. And we find that as mothers, we've got our own unique issues that we deal with, of having to take care of the household, taking care of our professional life, being students, and then, of course, raising responsible digital citizens, while we ourselves are becoming those responsible digital citizens. So this is a space where we give those resources.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Edith. Now I wanted to get some input from Morgan. Why I mentioned the identity issue, guys, is because time and time again, when I do my trainings or my workshops in the Dream Blazers Academy, this is what we do part-time, I have always emphasized on the importance of making sure that your digital footprint represents the person who you truly are. Because remember, guys, this is our new space. This is our new home. These are our new streets. So how are we bringing ourselves and ushering ourselves into these new streets? Who do we want to be? Who do we represent? How are we going to bring our culture with us into the new streets? So remember, as we move into these online streets, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever we are, our website, our workplace, we are representing something. And I'm always saying representation matters. So we have got to be truly honest with ourselves. And if there is parents watching this program right now today, and you probably are out there posing as whatever, what picture are you painting for your children or for those kids that are around you, and what do you represent? And I think making those decisions is going to be important. I was having a conversation earlier on before we came live to say that the things that we take for granted, Morgan, things like how to greet, how to say good morning, some of the things we've already addressed, how to have structure, how to wake up and have your own space that you say, this is my work time, this is my home time, this is my this. How is there opportunities maybe for some people out there who are watching who may be saying, what are the solutions? You guys have spoken about this. How can we bring this, all these pieces that we practice in the physical, how do we bring them in the cyberspace so that they continue to be relevant? Because while we may not be having meetings in person, but how are people supposed to behave when they have a meeting online? Because it's the same behavior that I would expect. And so how are we going to pass these skills and this knowledge forward to our children so that they can be like the people, the Daniels that were mentioned by Miriam, who will know who they are, even how to navigate and walk the cyberspaces?
Is it over to me?
You, Morgan, yeah.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Fungai. Yeah, I think, let me start by saying, hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay, let me continue. So let me start by saying there must be reasons why some people hide their identities. There must be something why someone doesn't want to be known, by their identity. Anyway, it might be lack of knowledge. It might be poverty. It might be a lot of things. But one of the things I can share with people right now is that there is some lack of resources available. We assume things. That's one of the worst things. We assume about things. We don't know about what's going on around us, right? One of the things I want to share is funding. It took me almost 15 years to realize that there was funding around we could use to develop our communities. I think this is something Dreamblazers is now talking about all the time, the information we are sharing. So this information, it's not there for us. We don't have it. No one knows about these resources. It was telling us about resources online. Some of us, we don't even know where to start to look for these resources. So there might be resources, but I think there is lack of knowledge. There's lack of information. Information among our communities is not shared enough. I think this is something Dreamblazers has been talking about all the time. So it's about guys working together. Myself as a funding consultant, I'm also a parent. I'm also looking for solutions. It's not that I have solutions, but I can be part of the solution. So all of us, let's work as part of a solution, to put a puzzle together. Like now, I didn't know about all these things Miriam is talking about. This is new to me as a parent. But look, I'm a funding consultant. I'm someone talking about money, this money out there. So we all have our weaknesses, we got our strengths. So let's work as a community, sharing information, telling others, pointing out where these resources are. And also, let's use this funding out there to reduce poverty. It's all coming down to poverty.
Morgan, I'm going to stop you there because of our time, guys.
Yes.
We cannot, this is an amazing conversation. But what I wanted to add as well from what you've just mentioned is that we are the people responsible. The responsibility sits with us. The community is you and me. Nobody is going to come from outside and usher these things for us on behalf of our children. So every single one of us has to hold a mantelpiece that they are going to run with as we've been ushered into the digital space. But what Morgan is supposed to emphasize is that there is funding and resources available to enable you to either, for example, Miriam, to write a program that can help parents with just navigating the education system. But you have got to stand up and say, I'm here, I'm willing to run this project. Because that is the only way we are going to have a resource center then for our children. As we write these things for them and then use them and practice them, that is the only way we are going to be able to contribute to the new era. And then I'm going to ask Glenys to share her contribution because she's been on the screen helping and managing in the background. Thank you so much, Glenn. You've got something to say, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Hi. Yes, just very briefly an intro about myself. So I'm part of the Dream Blazers team, and I just as I've been doing today, run around, make sure everything is working fine, and just making sure that when you submit your projects, that I also help to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So just back to your question. So I myself haven't got children yet, but I come in as an auntie, because I've got nieces and nephews, and I have seen how, they've been growing up. And I believe that just to agree, in summary, I agree with everybody else to say that it's also important for families or for parents to be available or to make time for their children, because those gadgets can never replace the love of a parent. So we're busy chasing up, on houses and nice cars. Before we know it, our children, they're going to university and they've lost that gap. They've lost that chance, where they could have bonded with you. And you can never, get back that time. So I just encourage every parent, if you've not already been doing it, this is the time to maybe start from somewhere. If you've even got a relationship with your child, maybe this is the time to start from somewhere, get that help, connect yourself maybe with, in those groups with other parents, and, make sure that you can build that relationship with your child. It's very important. And then another point I had was just making sure that just to add on to what Miriam said, just make sure that we have maybe boundaries, or we set some rules maybe for bedtime. Make sure that we have time maybe to, if you're a Christian or whatever belief you have, maybe have time to pray. And then when it's bedtime, every gadget is left in a separate room, that they don't have access to those gadgets. And then when it's bedtime, like Edith said. Sometimes when we think they are sleeping, that's when they are starting to do things online. And we also need to monitor what they are doing, because they can be on dating sites. I won't go into much detail, but sometimes they can be on dating sites. As young as they are, you'll be shocked. And a very close experience to me would be, I found somebody actually being on a website, a child, and they were posing as, as a girl when they were a boy. So it goes back again to maybe identity crisis. So you need to really monitor our children. We really need to monitor what they are doing. So it goes back to relationships. That's all I had to add.
Glenn, thank you so much. Actually, as a matter of fact, aunties and uncles play a very big role, where they can play that supportive role, because the whole village raises a child. And where a parent is struggling with communication with a child, there are so many times we've had to step in as aunts and sisters in striking a conversation and understanding what's going on with the child. And I think it's important for us as parents to acknowledge that the whole ecosystem needs to be in harmony. And so that harmony, when it's not there, that's when we have got cracks and gaps. But our African setup had allowed us to have that whole community piece. And I suppose it's important that we acknowledge to keep these communities going. Hence, we are here having these conversations, because we feel we have a role to play in terms of shaping how the community is going to move forward in the digital space. Back to maybe we would have wanted to have children on the conversation. And so maybe for our next conversation, it will be interesting to hear from the children's viewpoint. How do they view their relationship with the parents? Where are the struggles? What's happening? How can we support you? I always say, for me, I feel that I am blessed for the space that I occupy, because I have managed to keep myself relevant to the younger generation and to the older generation. And I kind of feel like I sit in this nice sweet spot where I'm able to converse with the younger ones and understand what's going on. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and you will be amazed at how many children reach out to me at night because they just need to speak to someone, because mom is not there, dad is not there, and they just feel, they need to be supported. So we need more of us out there. We are just playing a role. Representation matters, like we've just said. So whether we like it or not, we have a role to play, and that role is going to be so important as we move forward. Parents, we have got a huge gap, like we've identified, a knowledge gap in terms of understanding how good these gadgets are for our children, and how are we going to educate ourselves to bring ourselves up to date. And I think that's where we are going to get the help of the Miriams of this world who understand the education system. They can support us. And maybe if you feel that there is a project you want to contribute positively, that's where the Morgans and the Joes and the Glens come in. Reach out for support. So Joe, over to you. How can people reach out to you and be supported if they've got projects they want to access funding or any of this stuff?
Thank you very much. For the situation that we are facing in, there are also funding that is available. What you can do is we'll put our details under the this platform we're sharing, and we're going to share as well with the various platform that has been we've been told, the Facebook, and so it's all about reaching out. The idea is to be a solution provider to the existing problems. We have described in depth about the problems that we are facing. The next step is action. We need to action. The strategy is simple. Let's acquire knowledge and implement it. We don't want to be a copy and paste parents, but we need to be original. And the whole thing is all about discipline. This race as a parent is not anybody's race. It's your race. It will be embarrassing for you to come last in your own race. We are seeing a lot of parents spraying their notes. Is that what your children want to see? It all comes with discipline. Discipline and dedication and a bit of strategy. So for our contact details, we're always available 24/7. We'll give you our email, support@dreamblazeracademy.org. And we've got various handles on the study platforms. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe, for that. Last word from you, Monica.
I actually think that, having more conversations like this will bring out a lot, of underlying issues that have been left, under the carpet, which I think is a crucial thing for platforms like this one to then engage people on what the real issues out there are. Because we have an assumption of what issues are going on out there. And also we don't know, what other people are going through. Because there is nowhere for them to talk or express what's going on around their spaces. So I think it's important that we keep having these talks, these conversations, for the sake of actually building a community that is aware of what is really going on, because sometimes people don't know where to go because nobody has told them where to go. Like what I think Mr. Mwati had mentioned about how we are not very good at passing on information. So having a platform like this becomes a hub for information. And I think it's really crucial for us to, to continue, to build up and to resource people with knowledge.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Monica, for taking your time on a Sunday like this. I know you are a pastor, you could have been at church maybe, but we really appreciate your contribution and we really appreciate your work. Miriam, over to you. Last words for the families.
Okay, thank you. Parents, I want you to know we are in this journey together. We are all struggling. As teachers, we are still getting to grips with some of the digital technologies. So we are together. Let's learn together and I know we'll conquer this. And one of the things we ought to remember is to be intentional with our children and make sure that we avail them spaces to nurture their emotional well-being. They need time to play outside in the garden as children. They also need to go and run with you in the park. Don't let them just sit on these gadgets, but let them go out there, and we will do it. I'm actually looking forward to many successful children from our BME communities and businesses, which will be pointed back to say our children acquired new skills during COVID-19. So we can do it. We are here to support you. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much, Miriam, and thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you. Edith, over to you. Last words.
Thank you, Fungai. It's been a very fulfilling and interesting discussion, even for me and as a parent, and I appreciate this platform. And like Miriam was saying, we need more of this. In parting, I would like to just encourage other parents to have confidence in yourselves. Sometimes we underestimate the power that we have, and we disregard the strengths that are within us. Let's find those things about ourselves that make us special and important to our children and focus on that. That's one starting point, which is so valuable for us as parents, because when we are not confident in our parenting, the children will pick it up, and we need to really restore that confidence in ourselves. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Edith. We really appreciate you. And please share your link, how people will reach you. Edith has got a website, like she says, social media handles, which we will share. For me, last word from me is, please, guys, let's sort out our digital footprint. That's your new address and that's your new home. And so if ever you fail to learn anything from this platform, please take away that your digital footprint is your new address, and it's important how you position yourself, because your children are watching and they're learning from you. Point number 2, make yourself available to intentionally communicate and connect and engage with your kids, because you need to train them up the way they should go, that they should not depart from it. And lastly, be confident, be yourself and be who you are. You are never going to be different. And as you do that, you are bringing and adding confidence to your children that they will be happy to go out there. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And as usual, we will be here again next Sunday at 2 o'clock to continue with these conversations. And thank you to the Dream Blazers team and all the technical team behind the scenes. We appreciate you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.